Hi, everyone. It's Sabrina. Welcome to my version of The Matrix. So, I'm sure you've heard of the movie The Matrix. I'm not sure how many of you have actually watched the movie, but recently I was wondering in my own mind the person who wrote the story or produced or directed the movie The Matrix must have either been channeling something from a higher consciousness or they were already awake and aware of the matrix. And so, what if I were to tell you that the matrix is in fact real? And as a matter of fact, how the matrix is described or interpreted in the movie is absolutely 100% truth. The only thing that isn't 100% truth are like all of the details or the storyline, the things that were playing out in the movie, because after all, it was just a movie. But if you've ever wondered the meaning of your existence, or what is your place on earth, or why are you here, or if you've been curious what is out there in space or in the universe or in other galaxies, well, allow me to explain what the matrix is. In reality, and most of us don't necessarily see the 3D matrix that exists all around us. Why? Because our eyes are filtered, and so we can't all see everything that really exists out there, but everything in the entire universe is what creates the matrix. It's a part of the matrix. So the 3D matrix, like similar to the movie, is referring to the 3D. And technically, the 3D is this earth reality. And so naturally, in our human bodies and our human filters, we can only just perceive what is right here in front of us in the earth plane. But it is, in fact, the truth that the galaxy, our solar system, the universe, and beyond, the stars and the constellations are also a part of a larger matrix. Even the black holes that scientists are discovering out there in the universe are portals to other ends of the universe. So you probably see my image right now on your screen showing my drawing of the bigger matrix. So for those of you who are wondering, who am I and where did I come from? Well, you are a soul inhabiting and occupying this human physical form, this physical body, so that you can experience, navigate, and witness in the 3D, which is again the earth reality. So if Earth is 3D, then what is everything else? The universe, the solar system, the galaxy, the stars, the black holes, and beyond. Well, that's what I would describe as the 5D because it's spiritual. It's not necessarily physical matter. So if the Earth is 3D and everything else is the 5D, the 3D is where the physical matter is held or contained, or you might even say limited to the Earth 3D matrix for the sake of having a very specific and unique experience for the soul. Because the soul wasn't born into a human body. The soul already exists. And as you know, the human body is born, it ages, it grows old, and then it physically dies. But what happens to the soul? The soul usually leaves the body before the body dies. So the soul chooses to have a specific experience but be limited by the Earth 3D reality. And so now you might be wondering, well, what else is in this matrix? Time and time limitations are also experienced in this Earth 3D reality. Now, let's just go back to the movie again really quickly. And I'm referring to the first movie, although all of the movies were pretty good, but my favorite one was the first Matrix. And so in the first movie, Neo realized that there were bad programming, right? It's kind of like bad programming in the DNA, you could say. And every human is programmed to a specific DNA frequency in the earth body, right? In the human body. And so there are good ones and there are bad ones. So are you one of the good ones or are you one of the bad ones? Or maybe a little bit of both? How would you even know what kind of matrix your human body and your physical personality are comprised of? Well, this is where your birthday plays a very unique and important role, because your birthday, the time of birth, and the location of birth sets all of the limitations and also all of your greatest potentials that you can experience or manifest during the timeline portal that you have chosen to incarnate into this human body experience. And so everything that you're always capable of having or doing or experiencing is already ready for you. It's just waiting for you to think about it or to have an experience that propels you to go looking for something else. And if you've been doing this live thing for a while, you may have already noticed that your choices, your relationships all bring you experiences, and hopefully most of your experiences have been good and pleasant and productive, but not everyone is here experiencing the same 3D reality as the rest of us because, well, it's because of what their soul chose to be born into. So the soul chooses to be born into a life with a human limited physical body with also physical limitations, time limitations, restrictions, and of course, ultimately facing physical death. And so what I call your matrix, some people call this your blueprint. But to me, a blueprint is just an outline, it's a structure, and it doesn't reveal all of the details, all of the interactions, the possibilities, the potentials, the relationships, the feelings, the emotions, the manifestations, all of that stuff is left out of the blueprint. So a blueprint can give you a general guideline. However, everything that fills in all the other spaces that influences you and maybe encourages you or challenges you are the transits through your astrology. Now, even astrology is part of your blueprint, but not even your astrology stays the same. Your sun sign is always progressing, it's maturing, and your sun sign will progress into another zodiac sign over so many years. It's the same thing with your rising sign. Who are you here to try and become? Step up and face the world and be this version of yourself. And so all of the natal placements in your birth astrology will change forever. As soon as you are born, everything has a potential to change. So what makes you different and unique? The particular placements in your astrology, including the planets and the zodiac signs, and even the degrees of the transits in the planets and the zodiac signs, describe your unique experience. It creates your unique reality. It prepares you for the conditions that put you in a spot to choose. You can say yes or no. Your birthday credentials also will reveal whether you are a pessimist or an optimist. If you are a lover, or if you're a hater. If you see life in opposition to other people, or are you an optimist? All of these things can be understood by studying your natal astrology. That's what you were born with. But usually, by the time we are teens or in our 20s, or maybe even later in life, we begin to change. For example, puberty, right? And then after we graduate from school, there's adulthood. And then we go out into the world, try and figure out our place in the world. Who are we? What do we want? What can we do different from our parents? Do we want to get married? Do we want to have a family? Do we want to purchase a home? Or are we a hermit? All of these things are perfectly described and defined in the natal astrology chart. And honestly, from my perspective and my experience, when you're usually just following your heart, your passion, and you're making choices based on something that you want, that you believe that you need in your life, you're always going to be making the right choices because, well, it feels right to you. But then what happens if all of a sudden things aren't working the same way that they were? What if your relationship is falling apart? Or what if you get laid off from that awesome career? Or perhaps there's a death in the family that was completely unexpected. What causes this? This is also something that's caused by your transit astrology at any particular time. And remember, your soul, from your highest self, set up all these preconditions for you to experience. And even the way that we all choose to navigate our life and our experiences, our daily reality every day, is very different and unique because of our birthday personality. So the personality is also described by the placement of the planets and the degrees and the zodiac signs in your astrology, not only the natal, but also the transit, which are always in motion. But numerology from your birthday numbers also describe another layer or depth to your personality. And even by studying these things, you can gain a greater understanding of yourself, your purpose, what you're capable of, your strengths, your weaknesses, and so on. And so right now you might be wondering, why are you even telling me all of this? Well, I want you to know that when you become aware of all of this, and you become aware of all of your greatest potential, and you're able to connect the dots and tune into your regular cycles, even daily cycles. The hourly cycles also change the energy and the frequency. If you've ever noticed how you wake up feeling one way, and then maybe in the afternoon or the end of the day you feel completely different, it's not that you have changed anything. It's the environment in your 3D reality based on your astrology, your transits, but also your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, what you've been focusing on are constantly changing how you feel in your unique 3D reality, in your unique matrix. And so when you become aware of all these things and you start being present and mindful, you can honestly utilize all of this knowledge and the timelines to, well, create success or to heal yourself or to heal your life or to make the most of that particular transit that's coming up. Maybe you're reaching a peak point in your life where you're more likely to settle down or get married or have children. And these are all things that you can plan them, but not everything always happens in perfect accordance with a prediction or a predictive time. I believe it's more important for you to just follow your instinct and go with your heart and make the choice that is best for you. And even with that statement, met and known many people that do that, and they always seem to make the wrong choices. So that's also something that they were born into. Their soul, their higher self, chose to experience opposition in this way, which is why some people feel powerless over their life or over their situation, where others feel powerful and confident and are courageous, and they break through those limitations and restrictions. And so let me add another layer to this matrix. Tarot cards, or even oracle, are the players, they're the actors or the actresses playing out a specific role in the universal matrix or the local matrix. And I would love to say that when tarot was initially created back in the 1400s, the 1300s, it's very possible that astrology was not highly looked upon, or numerology, or any of those witchy things. Remember the witch trials and the series of events that, people had to find another way to entertain themselves. And so those who were intuitive and psychic, but they couldn't really tell other people that they were intuitive or psychic. So somebody created illustrations because, well, honestly, paintings and illustrations and artists were the animators of those times. And so maybe the only way that people were able to dream or imagine was to use the images, like in tarot cards, to create a story. And whoever developed that 10-card spread, and there are many different spreads that you can create as well, but whoever created that specific 10-card spread was amazing. They were brilliant because it allowed them to surrender their worries to the wind and then just shuffle through the cards and then ask the cards to tell them a story, to help them to be hopeful, or maybe it will reveal a wish that's coming true, or it's going to predict something that might happen in their immediate future. And then the tarot cards would reveal, however the person laid these out, the story, the timeline. And so even if you relate to a specific tarot card, even in a tarot reading, a card might come up, but it doesn't necessarily predict that this is something that is definitely going to happen. It's just revealing the scenery, the momentum, the movement, the purpose, the connection, the feeling. In the end, everything still comes down to us, me, you, individually. If we have an opportunity and we want to pursue it, life responds to our saying yes or no to anything that shows up in our daily environment. And that's what begins to unfold and unravel all of the other elements. Like, for example, let's go back to the movie The Matrix. At the beginning of the video, Neo was hacking. He was making illegal discs and stuff and selling it to people, and he knew he was doing something illegal. He definitely did not want to get caught, but we could also tell that he definitely was miserable in his full-time job. Does that sound familiar? Like, this is the same thing repeating in 2026. But the more that you fear something might happen, you're really only giving it the energy to manifest and happen. So like in Neo's case, he knew he was doing something he shouldn't be doing, and then there were the agents, right? The negatively programmed DNA, which showed up in his reality because they found out that he was doing something that they didn't want him to be doing, which is perfect proof that if we're worried or we're fearing something, or we're not wanting to get caught, or we're being suspicious or protective of our space, we naturally attract distraction. We emotionally create a new environment that hasn't physically manifested yet, that will manifest through another person. So it's almost like, I wouldn't really call it a mirror, but for example, when someone came knocking on Neo's door, and there was the guy, he was coming by to get his disc, and something on the computer told Neo to follow the white rabbit, and he was thinking, what in the heck is going on? He couldn't figure it out. And then the girl with the guy outside of his door, she leans a little bit, and he sees a white rabbit. And so it was that moment where he saw the white rabbit, it was a synchronicity, and he thought, follow the white rabbit. And because he feared he was in danger, he trusted his gut, and he followed the right rabbit. Now, I'm assuming you've all seen the movie, but I'm not going to tell you the next scene. But this is actually by following the white rabbit. It wasn't the white rabbit that he needed to connect with, but it led him to a location where he met Trinity. And that, my friends, is really how the Matrix works in real life too. It depends on the environment, what we're feeling, what we're doing, the opportunities that show up, even sudden and unexpected knocks at the door. And if something in your intuition is telling you to trust your gut, or something that you're putting faith in is saying, follow the white rabbit because you're in trouble, what are you going to do? Are you going to follow that instinct? Are you going to trust that? And the thing is, we never really know unless we do, unless we say yes, unless we follow through and we take that next step. That's when the Matrix and everything that you brought with you through your birthday, portal, information, personality, it starts conspiring to manifest something new in your reality because you've just chosen whatever it was that you just chosen. And this honestly happens for you. It happens for all of us in every moment. So now, after all of this, how many of you would love to gain control over your life, your present moment, your choices, your reality, your future? Because you can, if you really want to. And there might be some of you that say, I can't do that. That's not possible. I don't want to do that. Well, maybe that's just programmed in your belief system, which also came in with your birthday personality and your limitations and restrictions. But maybe, just maybe, there's something in your transits or your timelines and your cycles of life that put you into a situation that challenge what you believe. And depending on what you experience at that time, you will either just continue to believe what you've always believed, or some of you might feel compelled to free yourself from all those old, outdated beliefs. Maybe they're no longer necessary. Maybe they're no longer helpful. But still in that, the choice is yours. And whatever you choose, you can choose to change and experience a different kind of life. Or you can choose to stay exactly where you are and continue to be living and experiencing the same thing every day. The choice is yours. So this, in a nutshell, is my interpretation of the 3D matrix, the Earth experience. And well, you now might be wondering, well, what happens to my soul when the physical body dies? Well, your soul returns back into the universe, which is unlimited. It's everywhere. It's everything. Some people call it heaven. But now you might be asking, so why do we incarnate into physical bodies and have these experiences? Well, it is said from the human perspective that the universe already is. So when the soul goes back to heaven or back to its universal home, everything has already been manifested. Everything's already been experienced. And so choosing to incarnate as a human through your birthday portal time, etc., allows you to come into another human body and have this Earth 3D experience, which is limited to a certain timeline, dates, experiences, people, situations, environments, countries. It's limited, it's restricted. And most of the time, the soul doesn't even remember that it's a soul that came from somewhere else, and it's only here temporarily having the human body physical experience. That's what makes this 3D Earth experience seem so absolutely real. But is it?